Hello and welcome to Stampscapes Friday Night Live. Happy Valentine's Day for those celebrating that. We have four new sets here, nature sets 42 through 45, I think it is. Not so much just kind of systems unto themselves, but a lot of different types of images that I really see being used within kind of the structure of previous designs or in conjunction with. So we have a lot of different types of imagery here. Let me go get the printouts for these. All right, here's my cut guides, my trimming guides for these plates here from my rubber guy that also makes my sets and trims them and puts them on these storage sheets like that. I'll be using the cling foam versions of these, the pre-trim cling foam versions of them. So there's a lot of trimming involved in these. I've inspected these images and they all look really fantastic. The depth of rubber looks really good. I just got these like a couple hours ago, so but everything looks really good. And my rubber guy is just, I don't know, he's like a scientist when it comes to pressing rubber and making the plates and everything like that and making them perfect. And our engraving company is really fantastic. So everything really looks good and it looks like the details are all intact in accordance with my designs. So that's what I'm always looking for when I get new designs in, especially in the finest of details that are in these images. I look in kind of the solid areas and I can just see if there's that texturing that I've included in the designs for kind of like tonal ranges and I don't know, just kind of rendering choices that take place in the designing process. I like what I see. So let's get into this. I'm not going, in a lot of my kind of initial release videos, I'm just kind of doing impression tests, testing for details. I can tell though that these ones are just fine. So I'm going to be oscillating a little bit back and forth. I might be doing some impression tests, but we might take a look and see what some of these look like within a kind of a compositional structure. So I thought we'd start with that here. So let's see right here. I'm looking at these bridges right here on this set 64B. That's the code number right here. These two bridges right here. Kind of a little bit of a larger one and a smaller one like that. So near and far type of thing. They can be used independently from one another, but I don't know. I really saw them being used in conjunction with one another if you're using a large enough piece of paper. So we'll try that on a slimline piece, 4¼ by 10 inches like that. The reason why I don't go 11 inches like that for a full half sheet is because when I do that, I don't have anything to mount this scene on, so I have a lot of 8½ by 11 types of papers that I can, mount, mat the end result in. Hello, Julia, how are you? Candy, good to see you. Sheila, how are you? How's the weather in Oregon? Don't have any more of that snow, do you? Hello, Linda. Salem, Oregon over there. Our snow is starting to melt. I'm trying to think, did I teach in Salem before? I think I did one time. I think I drove down when I was teaching in, the Portland area. And I think I can't remember the name of that store. It was in the strip mall. And I don't know, yeah, fun times. Never taught on the Oregon coast though. Someone wanted me to teach somewhere. I think it was in like Central Oregon or something like that on the coast. It was this stamper that she and her husband owned like a inn or motel on the coast. And I thought, um, yeah, that'd be kind of cool, you know? It'd be like a little vacation. And I hadn't been out to the coast, you know, the Oregon coast in years and years and years, since I was a kid. But I don't know, it never materialized there. So never made it, but did make it out there. I don't know, like 10 years ago or something like that. It's probably maybe it's been 8 years. Newport. Every time I go up to Oregon, it's like I need to move here. All right, so I'm going to be using some of the these little islands. I'm going to put like this little connecting little bridges in here and see what that looks like. I don't know if I have space on this one or not. Well, we'll have to see. I can use kind of a smaller kind of area of it, but I don't know, I'm just kind of doing this off the top of my head here. Let's try this right here. Hello, Laura. 5 inches of snow. We had this big storm that came through here, Southern California, the last 2 days, especially last night. But it was about an inch of rain yesterday. But at the higher elevations, it looks like the spot is like, I don't know, maybe it's 7,000 feet. Is where they got some of the snow, because I was checking at about 5,000, I think. That's what this local mountain is. But then there's another mountain that's about an hour from us, or hour and a half. Well, to get up there, it takes about an hour and a half. And that area, when I can check the live cams, they have this whatever snow depth post there, and it looked like it got about a foot of snow. It's the Palm Springs aerial tramway, which is pretty cool. Okay, let's see. Let's do this right here. All right, so if you just joined in, we're testing out the new designs, but I'm testing out these bridges right here on this this quick stamp sketch here. I don't even know how much like space to put in between here. The objects, I'll just go like something like this. Not a great composition. This thing's like dead center like that, but I just want to test these things out really quickly. All right, so I've kind of have a little bit of a smaller space right in there for the smaller bridge, and then we'll have a little bit of a larger one for the larger bridge. Just some quick masking on these ones to try to fit these two new images in there. I have this other bridge that I've seen people do this with before, but I only had that one in... I did have it in 2 sizes, but the sizes were quite a bit different from one another, so the depth would really be pretty extreme if those two were used in conjunction with one another, where these ones are more like, I don't know what it was. It was like a 75 or 70%, I think, from one size to the next. All right, so I haven't even gone over these new stamps and kind of, especially with the cling foam mounted ones. What you do is you kind of take a look at this like this, and I got some of it off, but if you see kind of like a little shiny, I don't know if you can see that right there, that little glistening area right there, that's a little bit of the adhesive, because they're using a scroll saw to cut these out, which looks like a little jigsaw, and they're cutting all that out, and sometimes some of that adhesive, just, from the handling, they're running all these things through it. And that jig's running through there. You get some of that little crumbly bits. They usually get all that off, my manufacturer. But sometimes you get a little bit of adhesive. It's a little swipe of adhesive, because it's a really, really sticky adhesive. So you might see a little bit of a smudge of it here or there, or a little dot. And I just kind of take my finger and I just kind of wipe it right off like that. Yeah, I guess you can use like some water or something like that, but it's not really water, soluble. So I find that the kind of just wiping it off with my hand. But with your first impressions, you still might get a little bit of resist to the moisture that you're using. So, you know what I mean? You just kind of you can ink it up and you can kind of wipe it off a little bit, or you can go like this too on just a dry piece of paper and scour off some of that. It's not going to hurt the rubber at all to do something like that. You know, that there were stamps back in the it was like 90s. I think with like the D. Grunig's one stamps, the Posh Impressions. They were real solid images, and they recommended like sandpaper on them. You know, don't do that with these. These aren't like total silhouette style. And those ones were like huge too. They might have been like 2 or 3 inches. But I don't know. They, you know, I guess it depends on what grit paper, you know, we're talking about. But yeah, sandpaper's out. Don't do that with your Stampscapes stamps, at least. Okay. All right. So I just left a little space in there, like that. You know, you can use the same one, the same bridge too. I'm just going to use them in conjunction with one another to push depth a little bit. I don't think that. I think those fires have been out for quite some time, Linda. We had a little bit of rain. I think it was like 2 weeks ago, or I don't know. Was it 2 weeks ago? I don't even remember. But I think they were largely under control at that point in time, unless I'm mistaken. It was barely anything. I think we just got, oh, I don't know. Even if it was like a quarter of an inch or something like that, I think it really helped the fires. But I haven't heard anything in a while in regards to that. All right, so little connective types of things. We can put some mountains up in the background or something. I'm not going to do this whole scene right here. I just wanted to test out those bridges, but I would put some things in the foreground to reiterate those rocks and maybe some additional trees. Okay, maybe I will do a couple little extra impressions here, because this will be really fast. But see these rocks on the shoreline here, if you put some kind of close rocks like this, it really brings that same kind of textural continuity between near and far. And plus it's just a really good compositional element. When you're stamping scenes out, one of the things that, you know, kind of plays into the emotional connection between someone that's looking at the scene, including us who are creating it and are going to be looking at it. But if you kind of put something for yourself to stand on or sit on or something like that, or to look over the water at, you know, it just makes kind of a little bit more of a solid compositional kind of arrangement for the viewer, okay, to look into the piece like that. And then, you know, if it's all just trees or something like that, or grass, you know, people that kind of live in that type of area, you know, that, you know, if it's kind of a grassy bank on the side of a lake, it's like swampy there, you know, it's all wet. So I like kind of going out on little rocks. You know, if there's like a rock on the side of a lake or something like that, and the rest of it is just kind of dirt and gravel and whatever, grass, moist grass. Everyone always goes, you know, they make a beeline for that rock to go and sit on, you know. It's something a little bit more solid. So, you know, that's what we're kind of doing with kind of rocks in the foreground like that. I don't always do it because it might be a different vantage point. But anyway, okay, so here's a couple extra trees in this foreground right here. Like this. Kind of makes it a little bit different, huh? Now, people have done this before a lot of times with the bridges, and I really like that, but I haven't done too much of that with my other bridges. Okay, let's see here. So I'm just using the same tree right here for this one and this one. See how that really can be used in foreground and background as it's large enough. It's time for you to come here and teach one. I tell you, those classes, those were, once I got somewhere and I was all set up, I loved it. Teaching and retreats, conventions, everything like that. It was all the logistics of getting somewhere after a while. I had it all down to a science, though. You know, it was like I knew when to ship things out. Sometimes I would be having my supplies shipped from one area of the country directly to the next store that I was at, you know, and I just kind of make a listing of everything that I needed to replenish everything. But it was all down to like even like UPS 3-day select or something like that to get everything from one spot to the next. And everything was like all perfectly set in these boxes. My boxes were more, I always joked, I think my boxes were more shipping tape than they were cardboard after using them for, I don't know, whatever, 10 years and using the exact same boxes. All right, a couple little bridges right here. Let me see something. Is there anything, another couple little, I'm not going to put a dolphin out there, but we do have all these other new little, let's see, these little deer here, right here could be in the water. They're kind of like in a little bit of a shadow. Let's just go ahead and throw them in. They're in the shallows. I don't know if deer would be, but more like moose or something like that. But let's just get them in here just for the sake of it. Okay, let's see. They're a little bit large maybe for that area right there, but it's okay. You know, little visual landing point or additional visual landing point right there. All right, so there are some bridges like that. Let's get a couple of these little extra little rocks in here like so. When you put these rocks right around some area that's water-based, what you're saying is that, you know, it's kind of a depiction of the relative depth, water depth of that spot. So you got some deer out there, you want to make it kind of a little bit shallow, and then kind of that transition zone between land and water like that. Remember, we have all this area up here where we can put whatever we want still, but those little textures like that kind of unify left and right, middle, and then foreground like that through a common texture. You have the trees in their common texture too, but you know, using like textures like that can be like those one little extra little detail that really kind of brings everything together. It strengthens the continuity between all of your different images. Okay, so anyways, there's some bridges like that. All right. I don't even know where to begin in this video here. Okay, let's do something like, let's do another shoreline thing. I have these gazebos here that can be waterside. Oh, let me try something like this. Let's go like this. Let me try something right here. I want to see what this looks like. Let's see. I don't want to use this one for everything, but since it's out and it's very universal, let's see, is it? Yeah, let's go ahead. That was on Glossy, by the way. I don't know. I just trimmed up a bunch of glossy before coming on here. It's like I don't have a bunch of different papers, so I just grabbed something really fast. Okay, let's go with this kind of up here. I'm just using a small portion of it like that. And then there's this little gazebo like this that can kind of come out from that. And then I'll put the larger one down here. So we'll push depth a little bit and make a little bit of a kind of a visual corridor into the piece. Hello, Cynthia. Yeah, happy Valentine's Day to everyone. Maybe the gum eraser would work. That would be good, Bonnie. As long as the eraser doesn't leave kind of any residual whatever. Is the gum eraser like a pink one? You can use anything like that. You can even use it'd be probably really good is just if you have some kind of sponge that isn't going to kind of tear apart into little bits or something like that. Something like that would be good for kind of prepping your rubber. I mean, I didn't have any problem. There wasn't anything. It's more if there's like kind of the biggest thing is if there's a big solid area. Usually, if it's in the texture and you see that little shiny little bit of adhesive that's on your new stamps. Like I said, I just kind of wipe it off like that. But if it's in the textural parts, it's not going to matter at all. It's just if you had like a big wide area that was like solid and you make your first impression, it might show up in that kind of instance because it's so uniform and flat. It's usually when something's like that, you might get a little bit of a residual kind of whatever ink resist type of impression in that first like one or two impressions. I don't really see it. It's usually just like a little swipe of something. It's not like a blob of it or anything like that. That being said, I don't know. I haven't really wiped off any of my stamps in my new stamps. I haven't really needed to. I wouldn't say ever. I usually don't. I mean, if anything, it's just like that. That's like sufficient to get it off. Well, let's test this one. That being said, okay, here's this kind of waterside gazebo. It doesn't have to be waterside. It could be stamped, and this could be all grass around it. Yeah, see, even when I do that, if there's a little bit of resist of adhesive on here, I can usually see it because it kind of, that ink doesn't kind of stick to it well. But again, that like I said, that I don't have like a big, like a 1 inch, 3/4 inch type of just straight solid space on there. Okay, let's see right here. Let's go like this. Okay, and we'll go with the smaller one. I think I did flip. Yeah, I flipped it. The smaller one. I flipped it so it's kind of flipped horizontally like that, so you can do things like on opposite sides of a. It could just be a garden, but or like a. It could be a lake, or it could be a kind of more of a. Botanical gardens. I couldn't think of it. What's that area in BC? Linda lives in BC, British Columbia. Have you been to, is it Bouchard Gardens? Is that name of that botanical garden? I went there as a kid. I barely remember it, but. All right, so there's a little corridor like that, and I would put some other trees in the distance like that too, probably. Far side of the I don't know, I guess lake or something like that. Did I say hello to Debbie? News about the fires. Yeah, those fires are so crazy. They say that the rental market was just, it's gone insane for, I don't know, whatever, thousands of houses, you know. At least in that one area, Malibu and Pacific Palisades. I don't know where, you know, those people are going to be living. A lot of people moved down like an hour south to Orange County, like Newport Beach and all that. All right, let's see. Let's do kind of a distant type of shoreline here. Let's do this right here. Let's mop off a little bit of the ink off the bottom so it transitions from dark to light like this. These gazebos like this too, I imagine them in kind of a different setting with like cherry blossoms or something like that. These aren't pagodas or anything like that, but I think that would look really good. Yeah, you know, like in that botanical garden type of kind of environment. Okay, let's go like this. That, okay. This still could be land in here too. It doesn't have to be a lake or something like that. You know, this would look really great. Or you could do like a pathway down here or something like that. So as far as designs go, I usually have things in the wild, okay? But in this release here, it was like, okay, I haven't done like manicured landscaped areas, you know, before, but I thought, okay, let's do that. And it kind of, that's why this kind of exploded. I just kind of did a couple things and it was like, oh, let's do like these gazebos or something like that. Let's do the little wishing well type of thing. Dry little creek beds, you know, for kind of, you know, landscape type of thing. You know, where it's not like a, you know, like a flowing fountain or something like that. And everything just kind of kept exploding, you know, in terms of, I don't know, whatever different ideas. So those lanterns or something like that, you know, I want to have those kind of in a lake or something like, or a pond or something like that. And I think that would be really fun to do. Let's see here. But yeah, I thought this was going to be like, I don't know, maybe 2 sets or something like that. And it was, as soon as I started laying everything out, it was like, oh my God, this is not going to fit in 2 sets. Like, not even like half of the designs, because I started with some of these larger ones too. Okay, you can see I just used like a tiny little bit of that just to close that off. See, right here, you had this big open area to kind of just meander in like that, which is kind of, you know, it would have been fine. But right here, I have this little area, so it becomes a little bit more of an S-curvy type of thing, like this, rather than just going like this, okay? So what you've done is you've changed the visual movement like this, okay? So if you were on like a little ride or something like that, and let's say you were on a whatever inner tube, if this is water, or just kind of driving, you know what I mean? It becomes a little bit more of a, you know, a twisty turny type of thing, you know? So you think about that, you know, when you're doing these pieces like this. I'm not, it's not every time. I'm not like consciously like thinking about like a, you know, like a roller coaster ride type of whatever, directional stamp. I don't know what you'd call it, but it's kind of like more of a secondary thing. You know, it's like, okay, if I'm going to put this here, then, what might make it a little bit more interesting type of thing. I'm not kind of designing the whole thing around that, okay? All right, so here's little things like that. So see this right here? It becomes like this. So you as the viewer are entering in like this little type of thing like that. So it's a little bit more of a fun little kind of a, snaking, S-curvy type of thing. You say that kind of like S-curves in visuals can be kind of a, I don't know, it adds a little bit like harmony to the piece. Because, when you're looking through it, you're kind of following like a general path. It might be within like 100th of a second or something like that. But it's a ride, nevertheless. Let's see. Yeah, the Santa Ana winds, huh, Candy? I liked the Santa Ana winds when I used to go surfing, because Santa Ana winds are offshore winds. So when you have a wave coming in, it holds up the wave. It gives it that kind of curling shape a little bit more. They call it the tube or whatever, But for any other reason, I'm not into the wind. I don't like hiking in the wind. Of course, as soon as you need the wind, it's like you're out there with the whatever Cub Scout group and you need wind. It's just not there. All right, so anyway, a couple of little gazebos like that, it definitely changes the spirit of the piece than, not having them in there from whatever. It's not out in the wild anymore or something like that. So like I said, the bridges kind of giving more kind of a infrastructure to these locations. All right, let's try something here with, let's just go for an impression test right here for the most part. I'll throw in some surrounding things around this one. Let's see here. This one is the stairwell, like this, okay? Or whatever. Not really, not a stairwell, but a stairway. I don't know. Stairway. It's more like a trail than I see it as. Like when you go on these like highly maintained common trails, you often see this type of thing here with the railroad ties like that, like in those little whatever slight elevation changes. They usually have that type of thing. All right, now I'm looking for that little bit of resist type of thing. I think I am getting a little bit down here in these areas right here that are solid, okay? But let's just see how it prints out. Sometimes it looks like it's kind of beating up on there. And like I said, it's just, it's usually just the first couple impressions that you get that in, even if you don't like bother kind of wiping that off. Let's see, let's go vertical like this. And I'll put it at the bottom of the composition leading up. See, there's that, there's that kind of that little S, that little winding type of thing. There it is here. Here's the S curve right here, like that. It goes like this. Okay. This one not so much because it's these stones right here. You can, if it disappeared around a corner, you wouldn't be able to see it. But it's not straight. All right, so yeah. So, okay, so I didn't even need to really wipe that off, but there you go, like that. That looks pretty close to, this is just a printout right here, but, this is like, let me see, it's the PDF, the engraving, the mold, the rubber, and then the print. What is that? Like 4 generations away from, or 5 generations away from the original. So they get they got everything down pretty good. I'm talking about the engraver, you know, the people that make the mold, the guy that presses the rubber from that. All right, let's see here. Let's do here, tree cluster large, or tree cluster. Bouchard Gardens in, yeah, British Columbia, yeah. You always see that garden shot from that one angle. Yeah, I probably went there when I was, I don't know, 5 or 7 or something like that. My dad always used to travel to Seattle on business. He was always working with Boeing and going up there for one reason or another. Okay, now so I can put this tree like that, but it's going to be like too similar to this one, so I'm just going like this. And then we'll use kind of a smaller amount of it right over here just to kind of break it up. So this is like representing something a little bit farther away because it's lower, okay? Like that. And then we'll go like something like, let's do I want that whole one in there? Let's do this. Let's put it behind there again. Let's go like that. And let's do this. This hopefully is overlapping that previous impression just a little bit. Like that. Something like that. Okay. And let's fill in that surrounding area. Where did it go? I usually keep my sedge filler stamp out. Like these little textural things, I leave them out all the time. Little rock texture, sedge filler. If I'm doing a bunch of water things too, I haven't really been adding so much water texture into my waters. Oh, I don't know, lately I usually have the waters a little bit more kind of flat rather than kind of rippled. Something like this. We can put whatever we want up here. You can put, I don't know, quote stamp or whatever, sun, moon type of thing up there. You can do it under the nighttime sky with a glow-in-the-dark moon too. Maybe not this one, it's too big. Unless you cut this one off at the top. This one's a glow-in-the-dark, one of my glow-in-the-dark moons. This one would work though. A smaller one like that. You can have this kind of moonlit kind of stairwell right here. Speaking of textures, you can use these in conjunction. See how it kind of, this rock texture right here, see how it kind of breaks up? I didn't used to do this, but it kind of breaks up the monotony of that sedge filler a little bit. Like just by, see, putting it right here and then like right here. So it's like, it's not on the same plane as the other one. So it's like you oscillate a little bit here and then here, here, okay? So on the other side, it's blank right there. But then right here, you have this above that's not matching up over here. So it's not so mirrored. You know what I mean? Which kind of creates a little bit of tension and monotony. So it's kind of like snaking like this a little bit too. So it's kind of like here, 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 here. Okay? So it's like, yeah, lower, middle, higher, 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 like that. Okay? So you're just going to mix things up a little bit. Let's see. Hello, Vic. How are you? Vic C. Hello, Jeannie. If I missed anyone, hello. Let's see here. Hello, Fanny. Put one of your houses at the end of the. That would be perfect. It's too late for that, Laura. But yeah. This one right here, what I was thinking about when I first did this was, oh, I'm going to put that like that haunted castle up here or something like that, you know, or any of those, any structure or a cabin would be good. Yeah. Or you can just have this up here, and you put like a person walking up there, either away or to you or something like that. You know, it have to be in like within scale. You know, something. You know, maybe the 1 inch ones or something like that's big or something. I think that'd be fun. All right, let's see. Okay, so far so good with all the impression tests and okay, this is like this reads large like this. Okay, so it's right here. You kind of put it, you flank something like that, and then it kind of funnels the viewer into that area a little bit more, so like that. Okay, but don't put it like right here, otherwise you're kind of like blocking off. You're saying that there's a big bush right on the middle of the pathway, so you flank it like that. Okay, and again, I'm leaving this top area just as is, so I can put in whatever I want later on, any type of sky figure or whatever, you know, background type of thing in there. Maybe I should, I don't know, maybe now that I'm talking about those people, maybe I should have left that blank right in here so I could put something at the top end of that, like a person. Or this one would be good. I have this quote stamp that talks about, you know, I don't know, like paths or something like that. You know, I don't know, what was that? The first step of something. I didn't write those quotes, someone else did. But that would be good, yeah. Just kind of walkways. You know, they can be kind of contemplative if they're empty and you have that quote to go along with it or something like that. This one would be good. This one right here I can see in kind of like a foggier environment too or something like that. That would be kind of cool because it's a really strong visual lead in into the piece. So, all right. Let's see here. Cranking along here. If you just joined in, here's some 3 pieces, just using some of the new imagery, the gazebos like that. Could be on water. You can have them on the grass or whatever. A couple of the bridges, walkway like that. Okay. These are all stamped on glossy. It doesn't have to be on glossy paper. You can do it on whatever you want. Let's see here. Okay, so let me see something like this. Now this is one that I should probably test out doing, not in a live stream, but I don't know. When has that ever stopped me before? So see this this little girl, these girls that are kind of in swing sets like this. Here, I'll show you what those look like. Okay, so there's 3 of them. Okay, this one's right here like that, but I had to put it upside down to fit on the plate. But this girl right here that's kind of a little bit more in motion, I thought she would be kind of cool just stamping her right over like some clouds like that, you know, like she's right up here, you're taking it from, you know, from below shot and, you know, she's up in the clouds. It would really lend itself to some sort of cool quote stamp. You can do it this way or this way. This is a printout of clouds just on photo paper. This one comes from Costco, back when Costco had their photo centers, okay? But let's do something with her. Let's see, let's go like this. Okay, now I'm gonna, but these ropes here end at a certain distance, but I've kind of made them a certain weight so that we can just kind of take and extend the ropes out as long as you want, you know, or as long as you want to go. You know, you can do it. It'd be kind of cool if there was on a, you know, something like a slimline card or something like that, and you had these ropes going up higher like that. Maybe, okay, here, let me do that right here. Let's have it where, where's I need a branch. Let's see. Okay. Oak branch here. If you just joined in, haven't seen too many of these live streams before, word of warning, I kind of wing it, okay, with a lot of them. I mean, I might have some kind of like general kind of idea of what I'm going to be doing, but a lot of it is just kind of like deciding stuff on the spot, especially with this one right here, where we're just kind of, testing out these new designs right here. It's not like a clean instructional delivery, live stream delivery. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about having these kind of ropes going up to this branch right here. We'll see how it goes. When I was designing these ones, I kind of imagined, these people right here. Maybe not the small one hanging from this branch, but definitely her. Okay, so this is just your regular dye-based ink, okay? So I got some prints made from Costco. Costco, I think you used to be able to send out for prints, and Costco was still making it somewhere centralized, okay? But I think they got rid of that. So now what they do is they contract, they just have a special price with Shutterfly, okay? Shutterfly is printing out these prints, and I think they code it with something, or they're just printing it like offset printing. They're not actually using photo paper. I'm not sure what it is, but it's not like your inkjet printer photo paper like Costco photo centers used to use. Okay, let me see, which way should I go with this one? If I go like that, that's the bottom of the, okay, let's just do this. Just get a little bit more contrast between this dark branch up here and the white clouds. Let me go at a bit of an angle because this little girl on the swing is kind of at an angle, so I'll angle this one a little bit. But photo paper accepts any type of dye-based ink, so don't use something like a VersaFine Clair on photo paper, okay, because that's an oil-based pigment ink, okay, and the oil-based pigment ink probably isn't going to absorb into this emulsion-coated photo, inkjet printer paper, like dye-based inks, because they're meant to be, this paper is meant to be used with a water-based inkjet printer ink, okay? So you can do that. But, okay, what I'm getting at is those latest Shutterfly ones, though. You have to use a StazOn ink on those ones because they're just sealed off with some sort of super glossy coating, okay? But you can print out these types of cloud prints on your own at home, and they are free for download. But you can take your own photos too of clouds, and just print them out. It makes it really personal too when you do your own whatever sky photography. What I've done on my clouds, though, that I've uploaded for download is I've desaturated them a little bit and decreased the contrast on a lot of them so that you can stamp stuff over the top of it without having like a super hard line in between whites and oftentimes blues or something like that. Because if the contrast is like super harsh, it would show up through, like in this case, like her arm or something like that. If there was like blue and, a hard white, it'd be showing right through these figures like that. Okay. So I've desaturated a little bit, and, we'll see how this comes out. We'll see if, there's so little contrast in there. You can just stamp right over and it'll just hopefully just look like, shadows or something like that on the form, if they're not silhouettes, like complete silhouettes. But they're free for download on the Facebook Stampscapes group. Not the Stampscapes page, but the Stampscapes group and also on my Flickr page. On the Flickr one, I don't think you have to be a member of that, but there's a whole album of clouds, and some of them are desaturated, some of them aren't. But there's a button you can go into the whole album, and then there's a whole download whole album button, or you can just go into the individual. Individual photos, and then you can download them from there. There's like this little, I think when you put the cursor over, there's a little down arrow button or something like that, and you click that, and it asks you what resolution do you want to download the file in, and you would choose original. You know, that would be the highest resolution. Okay, let's see here. Let's go like how high do I want to go? Do I want to go down here? I think on this one right here, I want to put it up a little bit higher. You can put, you know, she could be swinging from down here. But up here, when you do this, it's like really close to this edge right here. I usually have people going into the scene, but it seems like when you're this swinging type of thing, it seems like it's appropriate to put her like at the, you know, whatever the highest point of the whatever the arc, you know, the funnest part. Oh, I pressed too hard right there. In between there, there's not a lot of pressure, so I need to put less pressure right there. So don't do that. Press down here, okay? Now that I can probably remove some of it. It's on there pretty harsh, but I can probably put some white pigment ink over the top of it. I forgot, yeah. See, I usually don't do these isolated things too far, because when you're pressing on there, there's not a lot of supporting area right in. You know what I should do is I should cut that out. I should trim that out a little bit deeper there. So if you bought these in Cling Farm, maybe go with a little bit of a deeper trim like that, and then you'll just kind of bypass that. But when you're pressing down, press more of the pressure right down here, and don't press up here at all, okay? But let's see like this. Let me see, a Sharpie pen. I don't have a Sharpie here, do I? I'm just going to use this pen right here, this ballpoint. And what you do is you just take a straight edge like this, go from the area right here, and then line it up, okay? And then just extend out that line up here. This one got a little thick though. You can go like this. I'll hit it with my Sharpie later. And just extend out. So sometimes you won't even have a branch or something like that, but there's that there. Okay. And I would color it in a little bit more doing things like that. Or you can put things down here too. Or you can have just the swing up here. You can have like a tree line or something down here, and it would look like, you know, I don't know, whatever, something, you know, like swinging way up in the sky or something like that. And that might be kind of interesting, but yeah. I'll get that out on a future video here. But let me see here too. Sometimes on photos like this, you get this thing called, in printing they call it fisheye. It's when they're printing on like clear acetate or something like that. And you can get this kind of separation like that. Sometimes that happens on this emulsion type of thing right here. Now I'm going to make these lines thicker here too, but sometimes you just go and fill it in like this. All right, something like that. You can put like a quote stamp right down here. I think it'd be appropriate to do like a word stamp under the, like a swinging figure like that. Or if you had a sunset or something like that, that would be really spectacular too. Okay, that should be really fun to use like that. All right. I'll show you what you do right here too. See this right here where that printed out? I'm just going to go like this and do a couple snips like this. Like that. And that should remedy that area from printing out like that, okay? You don't have to get it like too deep in there, but see right there. But watch for impression pressure up here though, so that it doesn't look like it's kind of flaring out like that, okay? I usually don't have like lines like that. It happens in the fishermen or something like that with a fishing pole. I usually have kind of like supporting area in between isolated little areas. So you gotta watch out for stuff like that. Let's do something on here. I stamped this out last week. Just this little whatever composition on a antique vintage paper. And let's do something with, I'm going to do this little girl with this kite if she'll fit in here. Let me see. Yeah. I see a block that'll fit this. This is like a really kind of unusual stamp design for me. And again, here's this tail right here. Isolated area, so here, I have to think about this. So the impression pressure would be like here. So I'm putting it mostly like here, and not so much on there. You want to give it stability to, so that, you know, make sure it stamps out. But let's take a look at this. Let's do this one in the, this is a pre-printed paper. So on your pre-printed papers, probably, where did my, let's just do it in the, we'll do it in the Brilliance Black. I'm looking for my hybrid black that I really like. I go for a little bit of a thicker type of ink on these pre-printed papers, because these pre-printed papers have all this printer's ink on there that's making the surface a little bit less porous, so that the ink doesn't penetrate as much, or it penetrates and or it resists, sorry, and so your ink doesn't transfer on there. So if you're using a thin kind of dye-based ink, sometimes it stamps out really light, like this one right here. That's a pretty light impression of black, 100% black. These more solid ones got in there pretty good, but you know, like a VersaFine Clay or something like that would be really good on this too. It's porous, but it's just, you know, it's a little bit more sealed off than, you know, than a lot of other types of papers. So if you got that wood grain paper, you know, a lot of people bought those ones, that and the vintage ones, especially. It's the papers that are designed to go through your inkjet printer. I know I said the photo paper, but that's a completely different type of paper. You know, the inkjet printer that's, you know, kind of designed for you know, like layered photography inks, or photo inks or something like that, with a lot of different color. All right, so here she is like that in here. I would really, this is kind of interesting because these kites like this, you can get these isolated kind of spot colors or something like that. I think these kite, these kids with these kites like this, I think would be interesting to do kind of a monochromatic setting like this, and then you just color in that one kite or something like that, or maybe they're dressed too, with color, and I think that could really make a pretty cool kind of graphic statement. I usually do. I used to do that with photography too. A lot of times, if, you know, I'm at my son's school or something like that, and it's St. Patrick's Day or something like that, and you know, you get a lot of kids in green on that day. So I would do this thing on the camera, digital cameras these days. You could set for these filters, and you can do these spot colors, and you can designate green or whatever. So it's like everything's kind of grayscale except the greens, and, you know, all the green tones are showing on, you know, the kids' clothes. So something like that would be pretty cool on in a scene. I haven't really done that too much. A little bit with the um, um, Halloween stuff, you know, like I have like a little kid walking through like this haunted setting or something like that, you know, with a like a red balloon or something like that, or there, you know, there's like a pumpkin in there that's orange. All right, let's test something out with these horses right here. Let me see if I can do this right here. This is a really large stamp. Let me see something like this might be kind of interesting like this. These horses on these this large stamp. Let's see here. All right. Okay, the brilliance would work on here too. Let me just go with the dye-based ink right here. I really want to use these horses on the metallics, the mirrored, definitely stand up to stamp this one out, okay? And then use left to right pressure on there. Sometimes I feel like taking paper to stamp is easier, and then you just use a brayer across it. Okay, just something like that. All right. Large stamp like this, I see it being used as, it was designed to be used kind of like here, left, right, center, like that, or just the top like that. Let's see. You like those stairs, huh, Jeannie? I can't wait to see what you do with these. Put one of your, I have ordered two new sets by you. Thanks for the order, Fanny. We'll be getting these sets out. I'm going to try to get all these sets out, or the orders out that have been received out tomorrow. Let's see right here. I'm just trying to line this up level with that. So I'm looking at this area right here in relation to this bottom portion, top portion. If it looks fair, you know what I mean? If it's off like that, I can tell, you know what I mean? So just get it as close as you can. Let me see, this piece right here is going to be, these horses right here are fairly solid, so I'm gonna give them a little roughing up like this, just with my hand, just to get it, you know, a little bit more roughed up to accept the ink. And then as you run it on there, I'm talking about with the first impressions, not, you know, not after you've used it a few times. With the very first impression, sometimes there's a little bit of not only the adhesive, if it's the pre-trimmed cling foam versions, but also when you're using brand new stamps too, there might be some of that mold thing that they spray into the mold, so that the rubber gets pressed in there, doesn't stick in there. I don't think they spray it every time, but there can be some of that residual whatever material, you know, stuff that's in that spray on your stamp surface. Again, you just kind of wipe it off or something like that, or you can clean it off a little bit. Okay, I'm going to try to transition these shadows here. We colored everything in black, okay? And I have the transition area a little bit, where it's a little bit more solid at the top of it, but I don't know if you can see it right here, but these areas down here get a little bit more airy. Okay, so it transitions from darker to lighter like that. But I'm going to emphasize that by removing some of the ink down here too, so it goes from something that's wetter to drier, so hopefully it stamps out darker to lighter like that. So you've kind of just done this little trick. Like if you're doing something like, these horses are going to be running through the mist or something like that, that would be really dramatic. What I would do, or what you can do, is you can remove a little bit of that ink off of that, so it looks like their legs or something, however high, the mist on the ground is, that's how much you remove off there, okay? All right, let me see here. What I should do right here is on that little point there is like where their feet are, okay? So I don't want it up here, because it's going to be, you want them running on the surface, so let's go around right here. I think I stamped it low enough. I'm just kind of lining it with that little dot. Sometimes what you can do too is you can just draw an actual line on the horizon, on your stamp on the backs, just so you know where the bottom of their feet are. Since the image isn't printed on the back of this one. My manufacturer guy doesn't do that. Ah! Okay, so see those horses up there? First impression, okay? So it got a little of that fisheye up there, but these are silhouettes, okay? Here, let me test this out right here, so I don't have to do this the next time. First impression, let me see. Yeah, it's nice and solid now. See, like 2 impressions kind of got rid of that stuff up there. But I'm also stamping on this paper like this, so, or the photo paper. So it's a lot slicker and it's not quite as absorbent. It's just like a matte paper or something like that, or even the glossy cardstock. So you just go ahead and fill in like this. All right, you got that. And see how this transitions a little bit down here? I don't know if it really made a difference, but that's one of those little things you can do like that. It's a little bit darker up top, and then as it moves away from the figures, you kind of have it a little bit more diffused like that. Okay, let's see. Let's put on, let's see, do I want to put on some foreground in here? You can do all kinds of things. You can still stamp out, like these types of things, like these trees can be coming in from the side in the distance, like that, and it'll give it a little bit of a stronger kind of a differentiation between surface and sky like that, or you can make it a little bit more. You can leave it open like that. It looks a little bit more mirrored. I think this is going to be really fun too on reflection cards. So I'm seeing if I have a piece of foil around. I don't see any blank foil, but let me see. Oh, here we go. So see something like this. Now, I already have these rocks down here, but if we did something like this, okay, this is like you do it in a reflection card format, and here this is like this, right? Now, I would have these match up, where this is like the same height as this bottom thing, but look at this reflection card format with these horses like this. Be really dramatic and kind of a stronger, like a warm sunset tones or something like that up there. All right. Yeah, like these sunsets or something like that. You can have these horses kind of running against that sunset like that, reflecting in the whatever water. Actually, that would be pretty good too. These horses would be really good and kind of, you can do it in non-reflection. You don't have to color in these right here, and you just have them running in they could be like wild horses in the whatever, in the desert or anywhere. Okay, let me see here. let's put... I want to see what this looks like here. I want to, after I mention that, I kind of want to see this with some of these trees in the distance here. Let's do that. Now, I've just been stamping everything out in black, too. I mean, you could do, different colors for these trees. You could be doing greens or whatever. I would do them fairly dark, I wouldn't do it like darker than like a, I don't know, whatever, like a Christmas green or something like that. But you can still be doing a lot of different things and playing around with your impressions on photo paper, okay? Because again, it takes inks really well. Just your dye-based inks, This seems to be perfect for these horses like this with these reflections. Seem like they'd be perfect for like some sort of, like any type of quote stamps or something, It seems to be fairly evocative in that. They look something a little bit smaller. Let's see this right here. Some of those little pebbles right down here. Kind of just framing off this bottom portion a little bit, maybe. And you can color this as well, too. The thing that I like using on photo paper, printable photo paper, are alcohol inks, and you can color this area in, or whatever, if you want to put some coloring up there. Does anyone ever use those Copic marker airbrush types of systems anymore? When those things first came out, I know a couple people that got those, but I don't know. I don't know if people are like using those regularly still. Extend a branch down and cover it up. Oh, that, yeah. No, I'm just going to block it out with some white pigment ink, I think, Laura. Let's see here. These inks dry really fast on this paper. But just to make sure, and then don't heat set for too long on here. Photo paper will tend to curl a little bit. And even if it does curl, though, you don't want it to curl like too much. But I end up matting this on something anyway, so. But just don't have the heat on there for like too extended a period of time. Okay, let's try something here. I do want to hit this with a little bit of color. Yeah, let me see here. I'm mentioning this. Let me try it a little bit. I need to get to more of these images right here, but just to show you right here. See this like down here, like in the shadows? I'll just kind of get it started a little. This is like really dry. Let me try this. I need to get some more pens pretty soon. I'm kind of going in here and I'm adding these kind of striations across here. It gives it a little bit more of a the wavesome body, okay, like down here. It's kind of just kind of subtle. And this ink, alcohol ink, really sits on the surface pretty well. Okay, now this is a little bit of gray. It doesn't penetrate the surface, so it just lays on the surface. So you can go in with your blender pen, or you can go in with another color and just blend that out. Okay, like that. See that? I just put a little bit of it, so it makes it a little more shimmery. So right here, I'm kind of adding it in these subtle shadows that are within the texture of the Seaside Cove stamp. And then the Brilliance pads are water-based pigment ink, okay? I think you can use an oil-based on their Hero Arts or whatever, basically any other type of pigment ink pad. Those are oil-based though, but you're not stamping something out in the oil-based ink where it's going to be a really thick application of it. You're just kind of putting a very thin layer of it. And it's just so thin that it usually dries just fine that way. You can test it out and see if it'll stick to it, but this one really sticks to it. Okay, so if you want to just kind of add in a little bit of extra kind of atmosphere to your, especially the cloud-based types of photo stamping, it's really fun because you get this kind of moisture in the air that clouds, are or represent. And what you're doing is you're kind of really adding some of this same type of look. My ink was a little bit wet over there still. But let me see around these feet here. Okay. The horses have been sitting around stamped for about, 10 minutes. So those are dry. But see this right here, I'm kind of adding in that extra kind of foggy, cloudy element. And it's also kind of illuminated because it's light like that. So what you're doing is you're kind of bringing the background into now what is kind of the foreground. So it really, I mention this all the time, but it kind of, it surrounds the imagery in this, this misty kind of element, and it gives it a lot of, light, but it also gives it a little bit more of a kinesthetic feel when something's just kind of like surrounding some object in there. So you get that mist in here in the background. Now it's in the foreground like that. So it really kind of wraps everything up into that same type of element in there. And it's just really done in a very simple way. You want to just do it very lightly. You don't want to come in there and add these big blobs in here, okay? Especially on this paper, if it's in the Brilliance ink, because it's going to dry really fast. Because those that emulsion on the photo paper is designed to dry really fast when you're printing in that. Okay, so send that like that. Just a little bit along the edge. I put a little bit more over here, but that's these trees I think are a little bit wet, so I'll do that later. But I'll push these trees. It looks like they're kind of forward because they're so dark, but if I put some of that fog and mist on them, it will kind of de-emphasize them a little bit, and I'll push them back in the distance. I'm not going to do it like over the whole thing, but I'll just do like a little touch of it here and there. And, I don't know, that makes for a pretty quick scene too, doing something like that. When you're doing like photo stamping, you already have a lot of the kind of excitement and coloring already kind of established in here. So what I like to do is I like to go in and emphasize the shadows once I know where my image is going in there, okay? So what I mean by that too is like if you stamp something out, if I stamped out these trees over the top of this cloudy background, okay, now there's going to be already some variation in there because all that color and that blue is going to show through areas, but you see these areas on these trees right here, I would just kind of go and darken them up a little bit on the bottom side. See where it's light and dark like that? or it's like darker back here. You just go in and color those in a little bit more. And like rocks or something like this. See, they're kind of more shaded on the base of it, and then they're lighter on the top. Cabin's lighter on the, lighter on the top. You can go in and color these little areas underneath here, like in the shadows. On this, and you just do very little shading, and it's pretty much taken care of. Like I said, you can color more, and I've seen people do that, but you really don't have to, and it makes a pretty complete statement. I mean, this is just like clouds in the background. Like I said, you can stamp over, sunsets or something like that too, with, any type of coloring in the background you want. Yeah, nighttime scenes are a little bit more tricky because you want the your silhouettes of your imagery to show up a little bit more. So, if you have something like a lightning storm or something like that, that would be pretty cool. Maybe you kind of lighten it up a little bit more in exposure, so that, keeping in mind that you're going to be stamping over it and you want those objects to show up a little bit more. So maybe cut the darkness down by 50% or something like that, and it'd really make a good foundation for photo stamping. Let's see. Oh, hello to Mickey and bye to Mickey. They're at work. Let's see here. Hello, Cecile. Let's see here. I see these things. I really want to do like a full scene in here with coloring it and everything like that. But here, let me do a little bit of coloring on this. I'll try to just crank this one out. But I have these dolphin on here, and I really like this this poster. I think I mentioned it in another one of my videos where I was introducing these stamps, but it was called the. Okay, I already forgot the name of it. I was telling someone I lost my words when I started designing. I got too deep in designing. I can't think of certain things. Is it the Big Blue? Something like that. But there's this, the movie poster is like, I think it's a full moon or something like that. And there's this ocean with this guy out there, but this dolphin just kind of like splashing. I'm going to see if I can replicate something like that really fast. Let me see. Do I want to do the... Okay, I don't want to have to do something. Let me show you how you do like a really fast kind of background like this. This is going to be like more of a like a stamp sketch. I just kind of want to get the gist of what this is going to look like. But I have these dolphin that are jumping out of the water, and I'll put them in, or one of them, those images, like on an ocean. And I'll have like this moonlit water down here, okay? So this is one way you can kind of do this if you're doing something faster and you just don't want to have to wait for your inks to dry before your impression inks to dry before you color it. But let's see here. Let's go with, okay, great. I was looking to see if I had a salvia blue here. Oh, this is a kind of a lighting type of thing too. I've done a lot of videos on scenic lighting. And I've said, hey, this is like a convention here, this lighting structure that you can do for, 90% of your scenes. I probably do it for that many of my scenes, but, there's this kind of this light source and reflected light. Maybe I left too much, maybe I created too much space in there, but okay, now this is like I said, this is a glossy cardstock right here. Okay, now I'm looking at this, I'm kind of horrified. I don't know if this is gonna work. I might have went a little bit too harsh. This is like Marvy ink, so it really soaks in. Let me see if I can smooth this out. Usually, that salvia blue is kind of dark right there. Darker than I thought. Okay, let's go like that. If you can get darker using an existing color of whatever you're coloring with, than do that. Here's a little bit of Caribbean blue. Okay. Secondary colors, third ones, whatever, they don't soak in quite as fast because the first color has already saturated, you know, the page a little bit, although I haven't done too much right here. Caribbean blue, by the way, is a really great blue, and it's still available, I think. Maybe in pad form. I don't know if like Marco's paper would have them, or I think they have the re-inker. As I think Uchida itself, the company that makes these, still has it, I think. Okay, let's see. This looks like more like a George Carl background right here. He's this guy that illustrated, did a lot of children's book, these big, bold colors, you know. The lonely cricket, I think, and the I don't know. They're usually about animals. Okay, there's my blues. Let me hit it with black now. This. And the black really blends in. The black would be the one that would be kind of the harshest to try and blend in just because it's the darkest, but it's the easiest in that the page is already kind of really soaked. So even if I go like that, you know, that really spreads out easily because I've saturated my page. So it's all about kind of those first couple colors that you lay down that allow for the darker, you know, ones that are could be a little bit trickier to blend in just because there's so much contrast between them. It makes it really easy to blend in because of that saturated surface and moistening of a certain degree of the pulp of the paper. So when you go in with this one, it stays on the surface a lot longer, as opposed to just giving, you know, if I went here like that, that is like set because it's soaked into the paper, you know. So you kind of saturate a little bit with those first applications. It's pretty much so for the, you know, if you're going for the layered dye-based technique, which you don't have to, there's other kinds of, you know, coloring that you can do too on glossy cardstock. But you can do this for the semi-gloss too, but you just have to apply a little bit more of that first color because it's going to be more absorbent. Matte paper, I don't know if I would go with, you know, this type of technique. Yeah, it might go for more of like a sponging technique or something like that. All right, let's see. I would go with another color, black or something, but let's just get to this image here, and I'll throw in like a full moon up top there. Okay, let's see. Go like this, right over the top of it. Alcohol markers are not my friend. What is it about them, Sheila? I didn't used to use alcohol markers too much. It would be like if I had I'd be stamping and I'd be coloring in something like this, but I'd need to color in the cabin and kind of like sponging methods or something like that, you know, on those detailed little things like that. You know, they're not ideal for that, so I would use alcohol markers for that. But then when I started doing things with the photo papers, I started doing more and more coloring because, you know, when I laid it down, I could really manipulate it and move it around more. So that's when I started using alcohol markers a little bit more. But I still don't use them like too much. It's kind of minimal. Okay, let me get a large. Where's my large? Is my large phone? Yeah. Okay, I have it right here. Let's do this right here. Still need some like clouds around here or something like that, but I just want to get kind of a foundation so I can kind of get the gist of at least how I remember that poster. I don't now I'm thinking about it, I don't even know if it had a like a full moon in the poster. I think it was called The Big Blue. It's a Jean Reno movie. Let's see right here. And it had this little swimmer, and I'm not going to do the swimmer, but let's see. Do I want that dolphin? There's also this other one. There's these two here. But let's do the two. Now that I think about it, this one would have made a good, having these two dolphin like that. You can do things that are kind of, you know, whatever, metaphors or whatever. I don't know if it's a metaphor, but for like a Valentine's Day card, maybe do it in, yeah, you can do it like this, but in these colors, but you can also do like this in whatever color scheme you want. It could be, you know, red or whatever. Okay, before I was about to do that, I was thinking, wait a minute, should I add in those little shadow work in there right now or what? First. See, like this right here, I really packed your sets like as much as possible. So on the sheet like this, see like this where we're cutting out. In years past, I wouldn't have done that, you know, but these days I'm trying to like pack, you know, these sets like full of as many stamps as possible. So I got these this pair of dolphin like in between these horses like this. So my rubber guy probably hates me. He's got a scroll saw out all these little things in there, like around these tight little areas, you know. But let's see here. Yeah, okay, so, but on these alcohol markers like this, see these darker little kind of shaded areas in here? I mean, I think it looks okay as is, but you can go in here like and underneath the waves like this. I'm just going with a color that I think is a little bit darker than whatever color already exists on here. So if I was doing the details in this area, I would do it with a lighter blue. But this one right here is just a little bit darker than that color. So I'm hitting this like right underneath the lip of the wave, the crest of the wave, right? That, see like that? And you can't even, you almost can't even tell it's in there. So see, that's how I use, I should do it like some tropical thing out here or something like that on that horizon. But that's what I like these for. These pens. That's what I mostly use my alcohol markers for. Is like little embellishments. I don't do like a lot of coloring, like heavy coloring with them. You know, like they're like those amazing alcohol artists do. I was doing I was part of this, one of the instructors for a Copic marker retreat. Okay, and I thought, why am I doing that? I asked the instructor, I said, "You sure you want me?" And she says, "Yeah, you know, she just likes to, you know, she likes to be able to offer her the people that, you know, that are going to the retreat, just something, you know, some things that are a little bit different too." So she thought that, you know, the scenic stamping stuff would be kind of cool. So I did that. But I was just asking her, just out of curiosity. So, when she was talking about the different pens they're going to be using, but so she gets a lot of repeat people going to these retreats, and so like, a lot of them, they're not just buying like a bunch of stuff like for the one retreat. They got to get. I guess you got to. I don't know if they started with this, but I think they had to take with the other classes they were taking that were a lot Copic based. It was like I don't know how many classes it was, but it was like they had to have like 100 and something different colors. So it's like, okay, you're going to use your number whatever, and I was like, man, she's yeah. She has everyone bring 100 and something or whatever those were. And she says, yeah, they use them all. So it's like, that's like a really specific. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of white pigment ink here on these ways right here. I'll just do a little bit of this right here just to get a little bit of the gist of this right here. Because I want to see what it looks like. I've been itching to get my hands on some of these stamps just to see what, to get the gist of what some of these images, scenes that I had in mind might look like, or if indeed, we can kind of achieve that type of thing. But what I was saying earlier, yeah, this would be a great, this would be kind of like a cool kind of Valentine's Day thing. Anytime you have like two animals together, a couple deer, something like that, whatever. Yeah, it's like a metaphor for, I don't know, whatever people. All right, so see this kind of, you're kind of bringing this area here to life a little bit with a little bit of that pigment ink, like so. And it brings a little bit more atmosphere into it. The moon up there, it's, I mean, you can have it as is, but, I think it's good to have a little bit of a kind of a change in texture and lighting like that. So again, just as it worked in our horses, with the reflections down in there, you can add this in the moon, and it gives the moon kind of a little bit of a softer light, or a varied light. It's a little bit darker up there, harsher, and it's a little bit softer in some areas. You can soften up some applications of your ink, and mine certainly needed it on this one because it was, it was harsh. But this can kind of remedy that a little bit. So I see it gives that moon a little bit of a different spirit. I think some clouds or something like that down here. I can add some of this in here, with a cotton ball applied cloud. We can put, the dolphin in a little bit of a varied light, soft light like that. I just put a little bit down there. I don't want to go up there because I think it's might be still a little bit wet. And let's see here. White paint pen. Okay. I think this one's brand new. We need a little foreground in here, like some palm trees or something like that, some palm branches. Not that this has to be tropical, but that's what comes to mind. I'll finish these off in a later live stream. See this little sparkly light like that, how it really brings that area to life down here. And then again, we'll put something up here, and we'll put maybe some clouds across there or something of that sort. But anyways, that's kind of, I need a little bit more color in here, but I don't want to color around here right now, again, because I think those two dolphin are moist. I don't want to drag like some of that black across there like that, but that's kind of the gist of it right there. So I mentioned this before. I was talking about it. I got into it, but I think I don't know, I got distracted. But if you have kind of lighting in one area separated by darkness and then another illuminated area in here, that could be your lighting kind of structure for like every scene that you do. Sometimes if there's a sometimes it's smaller little area of light, like it could be like a little tiny moon up here, something like this. By the way, this one looked pretty cool too. You can even just put this glow in the dark moon like this in here. But if you go kind of dark, light, dark, light, dark, in other words, light up here and light down here, that could be your lighting scheme for, you know, just about every scene that you ever do. Sometimes if it gets into an area that's like too big, what I do is I bisect that area of reflected light a little bit. And that's what I'm kind of doing down here too, by putting these streaks across here. Just not like this big ball of just whiteness. You know, you kind of bring in some of those shadows in there, and that takes care of that. All right, so let's see here. You love your Copics. People that get those Copics, they love those Copics. Those things took the the stamping world by storm when those came out. I remember the first CHA show that those Copic markers were around. Now I had used alcohol markers before. My Studio 2 markers that I got like all the way back in the 80s when I was a student. But no one was using those. But the whole idea that I like those ones a lot for the fact that they weren't, I wasn't a design student, I was an art student. The design students had to get those really stinky, I don't know whether there's those xylene-based markers. I mean, they really, really smell. But they needed those for their comps, their rough sketches and things like that. But I just needed some stuff just to, I don't know, just to, you know, for my rough drafts that weren't design based, you know, graphic design or industrial design department. So I got those ones because they were like non-toxic. You know, if you use those other ones, I think they were called AD, and there was another brand called Design, I think. And if you're using those in the like a closed off environment, you know, I swear people were getting like high off of that stuff. Not on purpose, you know, but I don't know, you might be able to use it, you know, if you're using them, you might get like a headache, you know, from doing that. So I got those ones, but the Copic markers, I remember when that came out, and that's like everyone has started using those. So everyone switched from, a lot of people switched from your Laplumes, Marvy Laplumes, or the Tombow dual. They were both dual head watercolor markers, which everyone had and colored with at the time. It was those dual head types of markers, and yeah, that was Copic came out, and that was pretty much, you know, people that use the Laplumes and Tombows, you know, still use them. They might still use them, I don't know. But anyone new getting into it, it was all alcohol from then on, it seemed. And, you know, and they were good too. You know, you can get like every gradation of gray, you know, that you can think of: warm grays, cool grays, neutral grays, and, you know, 5% different, you know, refillable. But I just remember that happening. It was like, wow, you know. And the Copic booth, it wasn't even that big, and I think they gave like exclusive distribution rights to like one person because, you know, most people hadn't really heard of them before. I don't know if that's still the case. I was going to do something with this well here. I put this well like around like a cabin or something like that, but I just kind of wanted to see it kind of as this like lonely well type of thing. So this would be really good if you have like a cabin in the background or something like that. You can put this well around there somewhere, and I think that'd be really cool. I didn't pull out a cabin. I guess I don't know, I could use my other one, but that's more like a lakeside cabin type of thing. But I just wanted to see this thing kind of just on its own. So talking about lighting, having this kind of this area of illumination right here, it would kind of give it a little bit of a, I don't know, kind of a mystical like type of look to it, I thought. Or, or if you have you can make it like a haunted situation, where like this zombie kind of crawling out of it, for a Halloween scene. To ask, since I'm just here, that now joining, this is a regular photo, right? Oh, Mickey? Let's see. Did someone answer Mickey here? Yeah, Eric Carl, the very hungry caterpillar. Yeah. I would always get people that the lonely firefly one that had that last page, and it would have this little glowing, his little battery operated thing. But the photo, let's see. Was it this one that we were referring to, Mickey? This one right here. This is you can get it's a regular photo on regular photo paper. So one of the things, if that's what you were referring to, that is. I should have stamped this up a little bit higher here. Let me see. Let me use just a little bit of this. That's just a regular photo on photo paper, yeah, of some clouds in the background. Check out, if you have a chance, if you like that look, Mickey, check out the album here on the Stampscapes channel. It's got I have a photo stamping album, and you can just go on Flickr too. Flickr, and look for, is it Stampscapes or Kevin Nakagawa? I can't remember what my account is under. I haven't been posting to Flickr in a while because I let my pro account lapse, but my photos are still up there. And they're free for download, or on the Facebook page. In the is Linda still on here? What's the name of that folder with the photos in there? But all these cloud photos are on there, and you can download them for free and just print them out on your regular photo paper and stamp on to them with just your regular water-based or dye-based inks, okay? And it'll stick to it really good, really well. Now, okay, now I don't know about this setting right here with this well, but I just wanted to check it out in a kind of a like a nighttime scenario or something like that. Let's see here. Here's this oak branch again. When I was hiking one time out in the Joshua Tree National Park, out in the middle of nowhere on this plateau, I came across this like well that you can pump, and it still worked. And it wasn't like a noted type of feature. I wonder if a bunch of people have come across that again after that. I know where it is. I've never been right back out to it, but it was kind of like out really in the middle of nowhere. So I've always kind of thought about that. Not that I see this one being used in a desert situation, or something like that, but yeah, we really need this one with a cabin. I need that cabin in here. But anyway, let's see here. Let me put some trees around it like this. The Lonely Well by Eric Carle. Yeah, that's right. Thanks for mentioning it. I couldn't remember that one. Yeah, The Lonely Cat. I would get, for a while there, when I knew people that were starting to have like kids, like for my present for them would often be the Eric Carle, you know, those two Eric Carle books. I'm trying to remember the name of that one. I haven't bought these for a while, but it was The Lonely Firefly. And then the other one was that, it was this, I don't think it was called The Clicky Bug. It might have been, though. But you open that last page, and it has this clicky sound, you know, because it's engaging that little battery thing. And I like those types of interactive books like that. That were really cool. That did stuff. Like, I like books that do stuff. That's probably why I like doing these reflection cards, you know, with the mirror things, because it looks like it's something's moving, you know, something is kind of like popping up or something like that in there. All right, let me see if I can just tone this one in really fast here. Let's see here. I'm trying to think of a color scheme. I want to do it at night again for some reason. I don't know. I'm a night owl, but let's see here. Let me throw these little deer next to it. We can have something else kind of out in the moon. I don't know if it's gonna, you know, I don't know if it's gonna be night, but okay, here, I should do that later. I've already heat set this so that I can kind of go in here and tone it in a little bit. Let's do a little bit of, here, let's just do it like this. I'll bring in some color. I just did a blue scene. I don't want to do the exact same thing again right here, but here's a little bit of just a really light tan color like this. This one's Ranger 2, so just about any other brand of ink other than Marvy. It's like a thicker style of ink, and it's really easy to spread around, especially on glossy cardstock. Okay, so go like that. I'm going to be a little bit lighter. I'm going to tap here because some things are still a little bit moist, okay? And if I streak, it'll kind of drag, but if I just kind of tap it down like that, I might get some black on here, but it's not going to be this harsh kind of streak of, you know, some moist color that I've, you know, dragged around in there. All right. This is a really light tone, but mixed with that brown in there, or the black, it's really kind of adding in these mid-grade tones, your 50% and everything like that. Okay, let me see. Let me go to, this is some green right here. I just started thinking maybe if I leave a little bit of lightness up here, I can have these like beams of light coming down in this area right here. Okay, this is a little bit of the peeled paint. Just kind of a light, dull green, you know? It's kind of earthy, a little bit. And again, here's that light up here. It's not really a light source, but see how there's a little bit of lighting right here? And then right here, here's this lighting down below, separated by a little bit of darkness in here. Now this is like too much, so I've kind of bisected that a little bit with this little streak across here. But again, it's that same type of lighting convention, you know. Light source and reflected light, okay? If you're ever, you know, just kind of, you want to come up with a lighting scheme for something, just make some areas up in your sky a little bit lighter. It doesn't have to be center either. It could be left and right or whatever. You can have light up here and light over here. You know, it's like in a diagonal type of format, which gives a little bit more kind of visual movement to your scene. Let's see, here is some summer sky like this. It's not gonna look blue up here, but just a little bit of a grayish kind of a, I don't know, foggy day type of scenario maybe. Let's go with try this Bahama blue. Again, it's going to be just kind of like a dirtier blue, a little bit of a warmer blue though. All right, something like that. I like some of this down here too in the grass. It'll just give it a little bit more of a color continuity to the top area. Okay. Good excuse for our markers again, like here, this top. Kind of want to leave it a little bit illuminated though, so just like over here, it's kind of this vignette of darkness. I kind of do that same type of thing for surfaces like rooftops or something like that. It's usually a little bit of a change in lighting, just to vary it a little bit more. And down here on these steps, you know, we can kind of put some of that down here. All right. And let's see. I'm going with some visual focal points. Let's see. Okay. These deer are attracted to the well. Smaller ones up top, larger ones a little bit below maybe. And I've flipped them so, you know, we can have them. It only took me like 30 years to figure out, you know, to do that rather than just doing things kind of facing in the same direction if I'm going to do them in two different sizes. Okay, let's see. That and a little bit of texture. All right. It needs a little bit of brightness here and there. Again, I'll kind of work on that, you know, with future kind of follow-up videos to these. I'll finish these pieces off, but see that? So a little bit of brightness, you know, here and there. You can kind of hit those areas in the shadows, especially, and bring in. Now this is it's still a dull green, but you can build up to, you know, a little bit more brightness if you want to, or you can keep it kind of more subdued too. But that gives a little bit more variation like that. Or if it's done on semi-gloss cardstock, I would be doing colored pencils instead. All right, so a little bit more texturing like this. I think I might do something like some beams of light or something like that running across there. I don't know why. It's not like it's supposed to be like a super majestic well or something like that. Or I guess you could. You can do this like really dark and have like some kind of like thing, like in these movies, where there's like some glowing type of thing right here. It was that series, oh my God, I forgot the name of it. It was all those storybook things kind of wrapped into one. Like I think it was a lot of the Disney stories. But there was something to some well in there. But yeah, but if I was doing this on semi-gloss cardstock, you kind of pop the colors a little bit with a little bit more of your colored pencils, But on here, those Copic markers or not, doesn't have to be Copic, just alcohol. These aren't Copics here, but your alcohol markers in here like that. Just kind of brightening up some areas like that. Yeah, I'm just kind of doing these little scumbling marks, but I'm kind of trying to transition it a little bit like that around in there. And it needs some highlights too, but I don't know. All right, so anyway, what time is it? 6:17. We've like just touched on some of these designs in here. Like I said, I thought, okay, this one's not going to be quite so straightforward of like a system, like one new set. It's like a whole system, that we can do like a bunch of different compositions for. It's like a lot of these things are just imagery that can be used. Don't look at that right there. We'll see if I can get that out of there, okay? It might be, it's really just easier just to do that. But let's see here. So a lot of different designs, I think that, and I haven't even used some of those other ones that are kind of more on the whatever name I was kind of thinking about before was like this Maxfield Parrish guy, but these figures like this, these kind of evocative figures, I really kind of am looking forward to using these. I want to use them, these little figures with like, their hands up in the air or something like that on a coastline or something like that. I think they could be really evocative and I don't know, whatever emotional types of things. Even this lady just standing in the water. We want to be doing some types of things with reflections. I think the reflections, a lot of these silhouette types of things really kind of lend themselves to drama, of course, by putting them into those reflection cards or just stamping them on top of metallics. I think that would be really fun. And we'll try to do some things with that. And then also, I want to really come into something with a lake in the background, like something like this or something like this. And then you don't do the foreground like that, but I'm going to have these like lanterns floating in the water down here. And I can see like, it's an excuse to really kind of have warmth, in a very significant way in with these settings. Typically for me in the past, if it was a nighttime type of situation, it'd be warmth in like these windows right here. We'd do them in yellows or oranges or something like that. But this is, another excuse to do that. And then I have the campfire right here. That would be a warmth and, I mean, you can have a campfire during the day too, but typically they're at nighttime. And you can have these like little warm embers kind of floating, up or something like that. And then I have these lanterns and I want to play around with the nighttime types of settings and to figure out the best ways to do that. With these ones right here, we can just do the lanterns and have them kind of in a darker kind of lake surface or something like that. And we can have these glowing, warm lanterns like that. Or they can be on, they can be on land too. What do they call those things? not illuminaries, but I don't know. I went somewhere. They do these things like it was like a walkathon or something like that. And I knew someone that was a coordinator for the American Cancer Association, and they do these things, and there was all these bags with a like a candle inside of them, lining up these walkways, and it was really kind of a interesting experience itself, but just from a visual standpoint too, it was really cool. So I always wanted to do those types of things and kind of add this more kind of, I don't know, whatever, emotional kinds of additions to like a landscape or something like that. So, lighting within there like that, I think could be kind of interesting. So, if people do that thing too, they have those little things on like a porch or something like that leading up to their house. And then we have all kinds of other things in here still to try. So a huge amount of stuff to try out right here. I want to try this like bottle on a beach, in the with my seaside cove or something like that. So where did that go? Like something like this right here, and then you have that message in a bottle like that. That one right there on a shoreline. This one's a huge one, but you can also use it with the seaside cove small or something like that. But just this kind of bottle in here, you can have it bobbing up kind of in the waves. You just kind of stamp out these waves right here and just kind of mask it off and then stamp that bottle in there. And I'd have like this lighting kind of flare coming off of it. So I really want to add all this kind of different types of lighting situations within the landscape. I guess it's man-made stuff, man-made lighting, I guess, which opens up. And I haven't really been too open to that before. It's kind of what all kind of wild in nature. So these tents right here could be out, in daytime or something like that, or night. But you can stamp this out too. I think the easiest way would be to stamp it on a separate piece of paper, and then you have it kind of a warmth in there, in yellow. And then you just cut that out and put it right into a dark landscape, and those kind of interior lit tents, like photographs are always really cool to see. But warm embers, floating up into the sky type of things. So those are the types of things that I'm thinking about, and I can't wait to try. So I'll focus in and I'll do a little bit more of a dynamic finished scenes in these pieces right here. But you can come up with some really fast things, too. Especially if you're doing like photo stamping or you're stamping on things like colored foils or something like that, or holographics, where the color is already established in there. So you're kind of just doing things mostly in grayscale or just black and white even. And you can come up with some really dynamic results that way. Something like this might be kind of interesting on like silver foil or something like that. Blue foil might be a little bit too dark where you can't see those figures though. But yeah, let's see. Scene spinning out of my ears. Yeah, Linda. So Linda likes working on, I'm scrolling up here, right here, but Linda likes working on, Linda's really fantastic at like large format stuff. So you can have like you can have like whatever, 50 figures in one scene if you're doing like one of those 11 by 17 pieces, the double page spread ones. Let's see here. Lack of using them. Yeah. I didn't use them too much either. I still don't, Sheila. One thing that I always do with them that I really enjoy is when I get those built up. I mentioned on the photo papers like that because I love it, because if I don't like what I've laid down on this type of photo paper, I can just take a cotton ball with some rubbing alcohol or a little bit of on there, and I can just wipe off practically everything that I've applied on there. I usually don't do that, but I could, in an extreme case. But I love how you can kind of move them around on that photo paper, just due to the lack of absorption by the photo paper of the alcohol inks in there. After having to replace my Marvy markers twice, I switched to Copic. Oh, okay. Uh, July, were you using the Marvy markers? Were you using the Le Plume water-based ones? Or which ones did you use before you switched to the Copic? I'm just curious. I'm just curious if you switched from the water-based ones, or if the like the Marvy, like these ones are Marvy too. You know, the Le Plumes. These are Le Plume permanents though. But I think I would get. I need to take a look. I mean, they have like every color in the rainbow out there and every version of it, probably of intensity and value. In other words, there's a certain blues and there's every type of blue out there, but that there's also like more intense ones in terms of the brightness of it. I need to find a really, really good bright blue. Something like, but I want it really light though. Like this one's like a really good one right here. It's not, it was always dull though, okay? Which I like too, because I like a really light one. But I need to get like some Marvy, I mean a Le Plume that's about that value. It's really super light, but I want a really bright one. It was the equivalent of the old Marvy manganese blue in the Diabase inks. If I could find that in the Copic marker range, I think I would get that along with a re-inker. I mean, that's just like one of those colors that I tend to run out of really fast. Taking some photos of wild Mustangs. Oh, that's cool, Mickey. Cody, Wyoming. And the Chalice BLM. For those that don't know, that's Bureau of Land Management. Unless that's standing for something else out there that you're referring to. Yeah, but these horses like this, I think they'll lend themselves to a nice whatever kind of emotional impact in there. And that's what I was going for. I wanted to have some of these like a little bit larger. Again, I was mentioning it in another video when I was talking about the new designs, but if I went larger with them, it wouldn't have had room for like a couple other stamps. So I just chose for I don't know. I think it's a pretty good size here for our quarter page cards. But if that was like a big one, though, it would be like super, super dramatic. But I think that's, I don't know. I think it's a pretty good size. But in the old days, okay, I would have gone for like a pretty big one, like another maybe 20% bigger or something like that. Because I think those would have been really dramatic. There was this other stamp design that I think was 5 horses kind of running with their reflections, and it was done by Visions of Ink years ago. And that's another reason why I don't do these things. Some designs I just don't do because there was another company that did something similar. Visions of Ink's been out of business for like 25 years, though, so it's like, okay, I'm going to do this right here now. But I remember everyone was looking for that stamp because they went out of business, and it looked really cool in scenes. And then I remember I ran into one copy in a store in Connecticut when I was traveling. And Visions of Ink had been out of business for years at that time. But it was like, oh, here that is. But then I think I still have it because I couldn't remember who it was that was asking me about it. Anyway, but we have our own now. Oh, also sad because of the roundups, yeah. I think I've seen videos of that roundup that occurs. Happy Valentine's Day. All right. Yeah, Luminaries. Yeah. Yeah. Luminaries. Thanks, Darlene. Thanks, beautiful. Thanks, Jeannie. Oh, your water-based ones. Yeah. And you probably never went back. Did you still use, your water-based ones after getting the Copic, or after you got the Copics, it was like, that's it with the water-based, I'm just kind of curious about that. I don't know of anyone that, I think people that go to the Copics, I'm trying to remember the retreats that I was going to, and I don't remember people bringing their water-based Le Plumes or Tombos with them after they started getting those Copics. But the Copic things, like, too, I think that Copic, I don't know what Copic marker users think about it. Do they like that airbrush type of attachment? See, that's what I was using my pens for back in my Letraset days. There was, and when I was in high school in the '80s, there was this Letraset company, and they had that little airbrushing type of thing. It would, shoot air out to the tip of the thing, and it had a real kind of airbrushy look to it. And I thought that was a killer application for Copic markers, especially with that refilling ability, because that type of usage can use quite a bit of ink. But for scenes, I thought it'd be perfect. And a lot of people started using it. One of the companies that started using it was Stamp Cabana. I started seeing him using that. No, I don't know if it was the Copic ones. It might have been with Letraset pens. But I started seeing people, a couple of people, more people using those airbrush types of systems with the Copic markers. And one person actually brought it to the retreat. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, that looks really good. And I thought that'd be perfect for like scenic stamping, or any type of stamping, really. But it would be ideal for doing things like, like rainbow background, or not rainbows, but sunsetty types of backgrounds. And I don't know, I don't hear too much about that. I'm not sure if people kind of posting, like on the Facebook groups, or before the Facebook Stampscapes group, there was the Yahoo group. And I don't remember too many people using that airbrushing accessory. As far as I know, unless I did, and I didn't recognize it from the look of it, but I don't remember seeing too many airbrushing types of looks, you know, um, lately. I use Copics, but love, yeah, actually I stopped using not using the water-based ones anymore. Once you go alcohol, you never go back. Use Copics, but I love using the water-based to give, the watercolor feel. Oh, huh. Do you ever do that? You have to use a certain type of paper to get that watercolory feel with the alcohol markers then? Because there's that watercolory look. It's, I guess it's alcohol-y look too, but that type of look that I see, I don't know if they're using it with watercolor, like Copic markers, though. They might be painting the backgrounds with those alcohol marks, like where they have like large. I guess that would be painted. Like they just get alcohol inks and do that with that. But I love that little swashy kind of almost water. It almost looks watercolory. But I guess did you have to use a certain type of paper that's not quite so absorbent with that? I don't know that. Ooh, what was that paper called? Is it not with a U? I can't remember what everyone was using of those markers in the early days. Okay, so Sheila's still using her Tombos. But that's because you don't like the alcohol, you said, though, huh? Watercolor paint, Neocolors, and Neocolor 2, and watercolor pencils. I got to get more in tune with those watercolor pencils. We were talking about it in another video, but I got to play around with, those Inktense ones and adding that water to it. But that should be fun. I need to get into that. Maybe 2025 I'll play around with more water-based types of looks. I want to go, like in waters and things like that. And then I have those watercolor metallic paints though too. I still haven't popped those out and experimented around with it, but I want to get that shimmery type of look in my water areas, So I got that specifically for that. So I tried to get like a set that seemed like it had a couple different blues in there. But I want to get this, kind of, I don't want to just rely just strictly on value contrast, to get that type of look in there. If I don't have to, I've been doing that for years. So, we have light in there to to represent kind of a reflective lighting in here. And I do these things with the acrylic paint pens to make it look a little bit more shimmerier. But I want to actually like see if we can make it look shimmery, like actually be shimmery with those types of inks like that. I don't know what it has in there, mica or something. I don't know. They call it metallic, so it might be some kind of metal thing in those things like that. So, you know, it's like last year kind of working with the, I don't know, maybe it's been 2 years at this point in time, but, you know, actually using like those chunky holographic glitters too. I like adding those types of elements into my pieces. Whatever. These days, relatively speaking, we're talking about, you know, I didn't use that stuff for like, I don't know, whatever, 20 some odd years, almost 30 years I didn't use it. So I really like adding those types of elements in there. So we're going to try to do that a little bit more. You know, and something like this too, we might be able to get that shimmery type of look in here by using some of the lighter, I don't know, is there a white watercolor thing in, I'm not even sure what colors were in this one right here. Here's those 12. I'm starting off with 12 colors right now. I didn't want to buy like those gigantic set, you know, because I wanted to test it out first. But yeah, I guess so. Like something like the silvery one, maybe, like that one right there. I think we can get some kind of like shimmer on this in these, you know, illuminated areas, I think, right? Maybe. Now this is all stamped out in water-based media. I don't know if it's locked down. It might be locked down enough where I don't have to worry about it if I go over it with like a more watery watercolor kind of application. But even so, one of the things I can do is I could seal this off with the Krylon spray fixative. And I think, you know, I think it'll be textured enough where I can get, you know, some of that down there. I wouldn't maybe not do that if it was like a Krylon crystal clear where it's giving it a really thick coating where the watercolor is not going to apply to it. It's just going to beat up if I try to paint over it, you know. But kind of these little things in here, these little blues or something like that, this little shimmery one in these areas might be kind of interesting. It might be easier to do these types of things with a, you know, metallic marker or something like that, but I don't know. It's time to maybe bust out some brushes and get, you know, try my hand at doing some of that. You know, I'm not really a good, you know, experienced painter like at all. And I was never good at it, like in school either, you know, my school days. Oil painting a little bit more, but the water, you know, the washes and stuff like that, the real spontaneous types of thing, I was really lousy at that. So it makes me make me a good teacher for doing this because I have to show you what I have to do to work around those kind of those limitations, you know. But if anyone knows how to do those types of things, they're like way better than me at, you know, like all that type of stuff, anything, you know, soft media in general. All right, so anyway, let's see here. Yupo paper, yeah. Thanks, Mickey. I use the watercolor pencils to also the distress water. Okay, there's a distress watercolor pencils. Maybe I knew that, but I kind of forgot about it. So it's the colors of the distress inks then? Are they matching up with the colors of their line? When you say distress ones, I'm assuming it's the Tim Holtz ones or Tim Holtz, whatever, branded ones. Intinks watercolor blocks. Yeah, I got to try those out, Candy. So one of you guys told me about this in a couple different videos. That you said that the colors get more intense with the water. I don't. It's interesting how that works like that because usually if you water something down, it's like less. You know, you're diluting it a little bit more. Okay, so Linda, you do have the airbrush system. I used it once. How much ink? Oh, is that what it is? To have to get the ink where I live. So, oh, okay. So it's just squirting out too much ink then, huh? Okay, huh? It's still pretty cool though. Maybe if you just use like one or two colors, you know, like if there's like a color that you use most often, it might be kind of interesting. Um, like blue or something like that, or black, you know. If you're doing like a lot of like Halloween types of stuff, that would be a really kind of interesting way to go about it. Or if you can get kind of a foundation going with um, adding in like shadows and tone with that alcohol ink. I'm just kind of thinking in theory, if you can hit those shadow areas like that where you can get a grayscale type of application, and then you might be able to go back in over the top of those tones with like a water-based marker, you know, because it's not going to move the alcohol ink around. You know, if you have like these really smooth gradations in grayscale or in that black, um, it might be a really fast way to, or faster way to do, like especially those larger format scenes, your full page or double page spread ones. I think that's what I would do. I don't know. Maybe I need to look into that too. The problem with those airbrush systems, I used to use those canned air things, which would you get like one piece with that. You know, by the time that it's all completely used up, so you have to have really have to have a compressor these days. I don't know. Maybe compressors are a lot cheaper these days. I gotta think they are. Probably coming from like China or something like that, right? You know, so you want one with probably with a regulator on it. Anyway, all right. Oh, thanks, Laura. We'll be getting your sets out. Thanks, everyone, for joining in here on a Valentine's Day evening. We'll be experimenting with these for a long time. There's so many things with these new image. I don't know. I don't even know how many new images there are, but there's a ton of them, and I want to use them in so many different ways. You know, when I was thinking about using them, so like the stairs here with some kind of structure at the end of it, or a cabin or something like that. This one with the cabin. I don't know. So many things. To use, and with so many different types of media too. So it's going to be never ending. Um, but I really want to increase the the drama and the evocative kind of spirit of a bunch of scenes, and I think these ones are just the right ticket to do that in. Can't wait to try some of those luminaries too in a scene. I think they can create some really cool kind of I don't know, eye-catching types of contrasts, with illumination within the the scene with kind of warm light and cool or something like that. And I don't know, that's always been kind of the question of how to do that. I've been doing it with like fireflies before. But now we have paper bags, with a candle in it or whatever. Or maybe these days with an LED light. All right, good night, everyone. Hope to see you in the next live stream. Probably over this weekend. I'll be jumping on at, different times, finishing some of these off and playing around with some of the new imagery. So, I don't know. Going to be a lot of live streams coming up here. All right. Good night, everyone.